Welcome to Second Listen Saturday on the Parenting Roundabout podcast, where we share some fun moments from a past episode for your weekend listening pleasure. Look for new episodes every Monday through Friday.
Today, we'd like to complain about traveling, or all the prep that goes into leaving your family for a night or two. Yes, so in my house, when I travel, not only do I have to travel, but I have to prepare my family for my travel.
Right.
So I just can't pack up and leave like some other adults in my household do. Nope. I have to make sure that there's enough dog food, and, you know, there are instructions about locking doors behind you and setting alarms and when the gardener's coming and blah, 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 blah. There's all sorts of stuff that has to go into. And actually, I'm actually getting ready to leave tomorrow. So listeners, this would have been last week. But while I'm away, my husband and daughter are heading off to Iceland.
Oh, you're not going to be there to see them off.
Well, and it's even more challenging because I'm trying to get them ready for Iceland. I mean, my daughter is, but my husband's away on business.
Oh, dear.
And he's not able to get his stuff ready. So I feel like I'm doing triple duty here.
Yeah.
So thankfully, my son is staying home and looking after the pets.
But you'll have to leave him detailed written instructions on.
Oh my gosh, of course.
Even though the cats are his cats.
Exactly.
Oh, gads.
Exactly. He doesn't know what time I feed them. So this has been a particularly stressful time. And I've got people wanting me to, do things. And I'm like, I just can't think about it right now.
Yeah.
So that's what happens in our house when I go away. Everything falls apart.
This is why I never go away.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I have been fairly lucky in that when I go away, if the rest of my family's staying home, I don't leave food for them or anything. I mean, I know people who cook in advance for their families, and nope, I don't do that. They're on their own because, I mean, I barely ever cook even when I am home. That's more my husband's arena anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But things like knowing where people are supposed to be and when is what all has to be like. Even though it's all on the calendar that's readily accessible and visible in the kitchen, I still have to have a separate piece of paper or an email or something in which I outline specifically, this person has this event at this time, at this place, and this is how they're getting there, and this is how they're getting home, and this is what they need to bring with them, and all of that good stuff. So.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like in my house. And then some.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of goes back to all that stuff we were talking about on Monday, just being the sort of primary person or the person who carries the mental load.
Right.
Because you have to offload that mental load onto somebody else, at least for a temporary time. And it's not easy.
No.
Because so much of it is just in your head, and then when you have to actually spell it out, it's time consuming.
Yes. I mean, thank goodness, though, for texting and FaceTiming, because I do find now I just say a lot of just FaceTime me or just text me. And especially with the option to have Wi-Fi on airlines now, it's makes things a little bit easier too to make that bridge that gap. But
you're not as unreachable as you once were. Although it's kind of nice sometimes to be unreachable, I would say.
I don't know, because when you turn your phone back on and you got 4,000 messages.
That's true.
I don't know. The flight that we're taking to Rome at the end of the summer has no Wi-Fi, heaven forbid. And it's 13 hours, and I don't know how that's going to go.
But will some of your family be with you?
Just my husband.
Oh, so you are going to have to really...
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I had a friend post on Facebook the other day that a conversation she had with her sons, who are older. They're close in age to your kids, and the parents were going away somewhere and leaving the kids home, and the parents were not going to be reachable, and they're like, here's a neighbor, or, here are people you can call if you need something, but only do it if, the house is on fire, or, you're bleeding uncontrollably, or both cats are unconscious, or whatever.
Right.
And the kids were like, but what if a cat throws up? Like, that would be an occasion where you did not call the neighbor for help. Like, figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, you are both very, mature, intelligent people. Like, you gotta figure it out.
Yep, exactly.
Sink or swim,
well,
kids.
That's what I'm thinking. This is going to be good practice for my daughter, will be moving to university a week later after we get home. She's going to be on her own.
Uh-huh.
So I've tried. I've done everything I could. Now up to the real world, teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to be so much packing and getting ready.
I can't even. The thought of it makes me ill.
Oh, dear.
Because with your son, he was going to college a lot closer to home, and he, you could always run back and forth or whatever, but that's not going to be the case when somebody moves to a different country to go to college.
I know.
Right.
It's all got to go into, a couple suitcases, and so I'll be the one doing, of course, all the, mental lifting for that too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a crazy summer. That'll give us lots to talk about on this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, my kids still are, I feel like they should be more independent at packing than they are. They still ask for a list. And I mean, it's great that they can pack themselves, basically, but as long as they do have a list. But I feel like, the way I make the list is I think about what we're going to do and what you'll need, and you could go do that thinking.
Yes.
I guess I need to, scaffold it with them, right? Like,
There you go.
sit there and say, okay, well, let's think about what needs to go on the list and where we're going to be and what we're going to be doing. And I guess I need to teach that skill, huh?
Yeah. What happens with you, Terry? I mean, you went to New Jersey recently. Did your whole family go? Or did you just you and your son?
Well, we
Not
went
New
to
Jersey. You live in New Jersey. What am I talking about?
We went to the Special Olympics, and usually the thing is that usually if we go on a trip or anything like that, all of us go. So, my daughter packs herself very nicely, and my husband just packs for him. So this was an instance where my daughter had to work, and I wanted her to have those work hours. And she doesn't necessarily enjoy the whole weekend there as much as we do. So it totally made sense for her to stay home. And she was happy to do so, but, she was nervous about being all alone in the house, which I understand. I'm nervous if I'm all alone, if I'm sleeping alone in the house and nobody else is there. Not that ever happens, but, so we wound up having some friends came in and hung out with her, and that was really nice. But, there's going to come a time where other people aren't going to be available, and we're going to have to work on that. She's completely capable to do everything she needs to do. She's completely comfortable. She can make her meals. She can clean up. She can do everything. It's just sort of the aloneness that's an issue. And I think most people can relate. I mean, I'm sure there's some kids her age who would be, yes, everybody's gone. Right. Woo! But she's not one of those kids. And if you're somebody who, likes to have family around, then it's really hard to adjust. So that was a little difficulty, but fortunately we were able to work it out. But there was a time I went for business trips occasionally, but that really doesn't happen anymore. So hasn't really much happened while we've had the kids. So we're just boring stay-at-home people who go on vacation altogether. Except for the dog. We used to have to find a place for the dog, and that was always a pain.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that anymore.
We don't for the moment, yeah. We should be taking advantage of this opportunity to travel a ton.
Talk your husband into getting another.
Yeah, until we talk him into it or get to the point where we don't care what he thinks. Which is usually the way it happens. Because he's not going to change his mind. But sooner or later we decide we're going to overrule.
Yeah.
But that's always a big burden on travel.
Yes.
Is, having to find a place to put the dog and feeling good about that place and giving that place all the information and measuring out the dog food and sending the bowl and the bed and, what day are you going to do it? And I know our place is always closed on Sundays. I mean, somebody comes in there and takes care of the animals, but you can't go pick your dog up. So you have to kind of look at your trip and say, well, am I going to have to pay for an extra night at the dog place? Because even though we're home, you try to work around that. So, one time we had somebody pick the dog up a day before we got home and just hold her for us. But yeah, these are the little things that take the fun out of travel.
Right.
And fortunately, I have the capacity to just say, let's not do that. Let's stay home. Home's good.